Hello, everybody. Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere in between two formerly tariffed nations. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Thursday, March 6th, 2025. This is the TNAM AM Show here on the New American Media because the old American media has failed you. You know that. That's why you've joined us all these years. We've been broadcasting for 14 years, trying to provide you with an accurate analysis of what's happening in the world. We try to decipher what's occurring. This is new. Join us live. Trying to broadcast to everybody in the Facebook group here. Trying to share the feed. Came in differently this time. It's always interesting. There we go. Now I can do it. Okay. Jeez. Okay, how often does that happen to you? You go to tap something and your phone readjusts? And you end up tapping something different? That happens to me all the time. It can't just be me. I mean, maybe it could just be me. I don't think it is. Anyway, it appears as though we're streaming on our Facebook. TNAM's the Agree to Disagree Show group. That's an awesome group. If you haven't joined it, please do so. What else? We're on Rumble right now, streaming on Rumble, the New American Media, YouTube, the New American Media. Find us there, follow us there. Today's topics, we're going to talk about what's ending: sanctuary cities, Department of Education, men and women's sports. I mean, there's going to be so much winning. Frankly, we're going to get sick of winning. I think we're going to. These are just common sense things. You don't open your front door and let random people rummage through your household, and you definitely don't open the gates to your country and let random people rummage through your country. You don't. No sane person would do that. No sane person would allow their 11-year-old daughter to go play volleyball against some dude on the other team smashing a spike, blast in their face, permanent damage. That's just not common sense. You don't compete. You have ladies' sports for a reason. If there wasn't a reason for ladies' sports, it would just be called sports, and all the ladies would play against all the boys. It doesn't happen because we're built different. We all know that. But somewhere along the way, people have been bullied. People have been browbeaten. People have been abused, really. It is a form of abuse to manipulate and brainwash people. What did they say in Orwell's 1984? You had to say that 2 + 2 = 5. And it wasn't just that you had to say it. They needed to see that you believed it. I call it the Obama doctrine. For the past 16 years, we have been ratcheting things up. And that's not to say he's the only person behind it. He's not a mastermind of anything. He was a perfect willing co-conspirator. I mean, this has been a trend since the 90s, if not further. It really has been divide and conquer, belittle, abuse, manipulate, browbeat, and really just causing shame, trying to instill shame upon the MAGA community. And that's just people that want to make America great again. When was America ever great? Shut up. You know what I mean. You want to make America as great as possible. MAGAP, MAGAP. Make America as, you get what I'm saying. Make America, MAAGAP. Make America as great as possible. And the only way you do that is with common sense stuff. It's common sense that you don't allow sanctuary cities. For decades, why are we allowing this? Where has been any effort from the federal government to stop this and shut this down? sanctuary states. You saw that map before where Kamala Harris, the only places she won, air quote, won, we're a 51-49 country. No, we're not. We're 75-25. I've never believed we're 51-49. That might be the final results that you're being given, and you're supposed to think that it's pretty close. It's not close. It's not close. The snap polls from CBS and others with President Trump's unifying speech, oh, it was all braggadocious. It was me, me, me. Yeah. Remember when President Trump said, they kept saying, you need to pass legislation to fix the border. That wasn't true. Turns out all they needed was a new president. All you needed was someone that cared. And the difference is shocking. It's night and day. And it's obvious. The only places Kamala Harris won, wink, wink, were the big blue states with the big blue cities where they can harvest millions and millions and millions of ballots. I'd love to get to the bottom of who's on the Social Security rolls getting Social Security at 300 years old, 200 years old, 150 years old. How many of them live in the fraud states or swing states? I couldn't imagine many states voting blue ever again if you had an accurate vote. Because what do? They allow rampant crime in the communities. You just want the dirtbags taken away from general population. Every community wants a place where their kids can go hang out without the homelessness, the trash, the drug dealing, the violence. And usually it's about 5% of the people causing 95% of the problems. Everyone know, go into any community and go, hey, what's the problem around here? I can't point, but see behind me about 7 houses, that beige house. That's where the problems are coming from. Oh, also the guy in the black SUV that parks right there all day. It's those two people. Everyone who lives in a community can tell you where the problem is. But all these Soros-appointed district attorneys, they've never given you the chance. Because what they do is they will put in someone to run the safety of that community. The district attorneys will handcuff their police officers so that they can't do the jobs to clean up the filth, clean up the vermin, clean up the repeat criminals, the repeat violators. I've told the story 1,000 times, but I mean, one of the usual suspects, it's one of 10 people in the neighborhood when I lived in Los Angeles, every day breaking into homes and stealing everything that wasn't nailed down, a total meth head, junkie, setting things on fires, getting in fights. Like it was like living inside of a cuckoo clock. And then finally one day, dude gets arrested. Finally, they take him off the streets. It's like, such a big sigh of relief, a big deep breath. It's exhausting trying to play shepherd, defending your flock against a madman. Someone who needs to be in a psychiatric ward, someone who needs to be in a detox facility, somebody who either just needs to be in jail if he can't get his shit together. I don't care where he goes, but he shouldn't be bothering all the elderly people, all of the children in the community, and all the rest of us in between who just want to live a good life and be left the hell alone. Dude even attacked the cop with a hammer when he got arrested. And you're like, oh, thank God. We're done. This guy's gone forever. You don't hit a cop with a hammer. Like, we're good. Oh, my God. We finally, praise the Lord. They dumped him back out on our streets 12 hours later. And that's when the gangs put a hit out on him. It got really weird really quick. And eventually, I just got the hell out of there. I'm like, I cannot live inside. Trying to be the sane person inside an insane asylum. Try to say that 5 times fast. Be the sane person inside of an insane asylum. Ooh. It's exhausting. And that's what Americans have been. We've been browbeaten. We are exhausted. We are tired of our finite, limited resources being squandered instead of rebuilding East Palestine, Ohio, rebuilding Western North Carolina, rebuilding Maui, and rebuilding the Palisades. Trillions of dollars being money laundered to people who hate us. Hundreds of billions of dollars going to phantom NGOs. By the way, if cutting off government funding to an NGO means you're not operating anymore, that means you never were a non-governmental organization. They were geos. Not a geo metro like those old cars, but a government organization. And we, the people, finally see a little bit of a ray of sunlight. You're going to win so much, you're going to get sick of winning. And so these are the stories that we're going to unpack on today's episode of the Agree. Good grief. Please stop yelling at me, Caroline Levitt. I'm just trying to get to my stories. Every time I click a button, Caroline Levitt's yelling at me. Anyway, let's jump into the stuff I have on, where'd it go? Our Instagram feed. There we go, finally. Odds and ends from yesterday. Oh, yeah, you saw the kid. You saw DJ Daniel, the newest member of President Trump's Secret Service. Well, he went to the White House and met with him, or he went to the White House and met with President Trump. This is another nice moment.
A good-looking family, huh?
There's one more thing I got for you, a big hug.
Okay, good. That's very nice. Look at that family you got, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Very nice. How are you? Nice to see you, man. Nice to see you. That was a big evening last night, right?
Yes, it was.
That was a big evening. What a good-looking family, huh?
There's one more thing I got for you, a big hug.
Okay, good.
There you go.
That's very
Right next to the Gulf of America. And look, the continent's called America. North America, South America. It should be called the Gulf of America. Why not? Anyway, that's a nice story, and anyone that can't appreciate that, I think you're a little out to lunch there. Here's Caroline Levitt pointing out the obvious. You know, we're going to talk about what's ending, the Department of Education, sanctuary cities, men and women's sports. Wow. I never would have dreamed that I'd have to live in a world so upside down that we'd have to fight for three obvious things like this. And you go, the Department of Education, what? You don't want to educate our kids? No. I don't want a top-down approach where a radical like Barack Hussein Obama, Joe Biden, or Kamala Harris could seize control of the federal government somehow, and push backward education policies, pushing all sorts of gender confusion, all sorts of backward hatred of your country, hatred of yourself, endless racial, poisonous, just toxic ideology, constant division. And then you mandate that every state must push this crap or else you're not going to get federal funding. Yeah, you got to give it back to the states. You got to give this stuff back to the states. We're losing our way. Hello, Kenneth. I know, Trump, the big old softy. I like seeing Grandpa Trump. Grandpa Trump's a good Trump. It's a grounded Trump. It's a softy Trump. It's not the worst version of Trump you've ever seen. It's perhaps the best version of Trump that you have. So, all right. Oh, I might have to change something. Hold on. Okay, I'm pausing my guest today. When works better? I've rescheduled him twice, once because of me and once because of him. I have a guest coming on, Adam Kokesh. He's a voice of veteran, speaker, libertarian, political mind, commentator, pundit, rabble rouser. There's a lot of words you could use for Adam Kokesh. But he and I went to the steps of City Hall talking about the homeless situation. And the homeless situation is really tied to sanctuary cities. It's tied to a lot of these policies that we're going to be talking about today. Just really the mismanagement of cities. But yeah, we were going to talk about homelessness. I did see his post the other day. I'm like, oh, I haven't talked to this dude in years and years. Yeah, I gave a speech. He gave a speech on the steps of City Hall. And, you know, my main point was we need to have tiny home communities for the homeless. Let's build a joint shower facility, build a joint cooking facility. We could just, imagine if you could just go in and you had some eggs and you had some flour, like you could make some food and you could take a shower and you had a safe place to sleep. You could get them off of the back alleys, doing drugs, causing crime, the filth, the criminality, the lowered property values, the increased safety risks. And I have this story pulled up about Gavin Newsom. They can't find any of the homeless spending, $24 million, I think. And they have no way to track where any of this stuff went. It all just goes into like the money laundering pit. And nobody knows where this money goes, but they pretend to be virtuous and pat themselves on the back. That's how they do it. So anyway, I think the snow is causing the need to reschedule. All right, so we're going to reschedule the 3 o'clock today. All right. Back to the show. All right, so here's Carolyn Levitt. Sorry, that text came in as we were talking, and I had that show scheduled for 3 p.m. today. We'll reschedule it again. Yeah, I actually got this lighter from him. I think I went with my buddies from Lions of Liberty. Who did I go with? Maybe Mark Clare and Brian McWilliams from Lions of Liberty. Brian's involved with the Libertarian Party now. Mark is pseudo-retired. But yeah, I got these late Fires of Freedom, the Freedom Line. That was Adam's thing. I'm like, oh, I saw this the other day. I'm like, let me bring this for the podcast. I haven't talked to that dude in years. He's an interesting mind. I've interviewed him several times at Conscious Life Expo and then hanging out in person and with John McAfee. So, you know. Okay, it's funny you say that. Kenneth, you say tiny homes for tiny Elvis? Uh-huh. Tiny Elvis. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Now that was Rob Schneider, right? On Saturday Night Live. I love comedy. Elvis Summers was the guy who was building tiny homes for the homeless. And I interviewed him. If you go back on the YouTube and type Elvis and Brian Engelman, you should see Elvis Summers with tiny homes for the homeless. You could build these things for like $2,000, and they're a home that people could, get out of the elements. You had a locking door. You could stay safe, and it's a place out of the rain, and you could kind of stay warm, or like just a little place where you could keep a couple of your things. So yeah, tiny homes for tiny Elvis. Tiny homes built by Elvis Summers. That's hilarious. Anyway, we'll let you know when this reschedules. What? Okay. Man, a lot of stuff coming in. It's what a weird day. Here, let's play Carolyn Levitt talking about Democrats and Democrat women.
Not one Democrat senator voted to protect women's sports from males. Not one Democrat congressman or congresswoman stood to applaud or support protecting women's spaces and sports at the president's joint session to Congress last night, as you articulately mentioned in the beginning. So I'm wondering, what message is that sending to not only young women who are competing in these sports across the country, but also to the parents of these young girls?
Yeah. I think the message that Americans should take away from last night is that they have a president in the Oval Office who is committed to doing what's right for them, especially women and girls across the country. And I think it's very ironic, thank you for bringing up the point about women, that Democrat women were wearing pink to support our fellow females, yet they couldn't stand, again, for a young woman who was almost killed and severely injured by a man on the volleyball court. They couldn't stand for the mothers of two beautiful young women whose lives were taken tragically at the hands of illegal people. So you can't say you're the party of women and then support men and women's sports and not stand up for basic law and order and immigration reform that will protect women in this country. That's what President Trump is doing. He's the president for women.
Not one.
He is the president for women. We said, where'd our comment go? Where did our comment go? What? Our comment just disappeared. Huh. What a weird beginning to today's show. Said, finally, sanity's restored to America. God bless President Trump. And it really did take the leadership of President Trump to kind of get some stuff squared away. Let's talk about this one. This is something maybe not on your radar, but as I was scrolling, I found this and I found it very interesting. This is apparently from the hand is what's my aspect ratio. Okay, you can see the full screen here. By the way, however you're watching, please hit like, please hit subscribe. The New American Media page is on Facebook, the New American Media Instagram, the New American Media Truth Social. We're at American_media_ on X. Patreon.com/the New American Media to support us. We appreciate those of you that do. Our podcast, we'll put the TNAM AM Show and the Agree to Disagree Show under the Agree to Disagree Show podcast. So get that on Spotify and iTunes. And then we're TNAM and TNAM. What is it? Oh, yeah. TNAM and TNAM Chat on Truth and, gosh darn it. TNAM and TNAM Chat on Signal and Telegram. There we go. Link up with us, please. If you're on your mobile app, hit the heart button, hit the like button. Hit any button. It just shows engagement. Leave some comments. Also, question of the day, if you're watching quietly, type in the comments. I'd love to see, put your initials or your name. Tell me where you're watching from. This is like a, what do I call this? I'll find a better way to name it, but it's like a creeper check. Like, who's out there lurking? A lurker check? Creeper check? The silent viewer check? Silent but deadly, they say. Yeah, I like to see who's actively engaged in the program. So please leave a comment below. I like to keep the comments over on the side and incorporate the jokes in the comments and the questions in. Your commentary really helps it feel like like a game of tennis instead of me just playing a solo game, if you know what I mean. All right, so this is a weird story, but it's important. This is from a site called Seaspiracy. The Argentine Navy has intercepted and blocked a fleet of about 300 Chinese fishing vessels, primarily squid jiggers. That's a weirdest phrase out. Squid jigger, who are attempting to invade Argentina's exclusive economic zone, the EEZ. This was yet another attempt by China's massive industrial fleet to strip the ocean bare. These vessels operate like floating factories capable of extracting thousands of tons of marine animals. China's distant water fleet is the largest and most destructive in the world, with a long history of illegally plundering foreign waters. Illegal, unreported, and unregulated IUU fishing is an environmental crime, but where is the global outrage? Many organizations and media outlets remain silent on China's role in ocean plunder, afraid to call out one of the biggest offenders of marine destruction. It's time to expose the truth. Governments must take stronger action to stop illegal fishing once and for all. All of these boats lined up under the cover of darkness. 300 fishing vessels from China docking outside of Argentina's waters, floating factories of construction. So, look, there might be more to that story. I get it. But if you overdo fishing, there's a reason there are some limitations on hunting. Yeah, a silent but deadly invasion. Deer can get overrun, so like they'll open it up and like, yeah, please, as many deer as you can. It's getting crazy. But if you overfish, you can exterminate entire populations, and you're not going to have enough to have more, so then it's going to stop reproducing. Then you're going to be out. You're going to mine it so much, you're going to strip it bare. They're going to be done, and you can't rebuild those. So like there is a bit of a balance when it comes to harvesting resources. I don't know that you can strip a gold mine or a silver mine or a platinum mine or a cobalt mine too much. It's like it's there. Whatever it is, it is. But when it comes to think of Joe Biden, how he recklessly, along with the dirty deep state Democrat Party and Kamala Harris, they said, let's kill 150 million chickens. And now we've been struggling to get eggs for months now. Although it only takes a month or two for eggs for chicks to become hens and to start laying eggs. So I don't know why this has been an ongoing problem. But eggs are theoretically, as far as I can tell, one of the best foods we can eat. Just have a couple of eggs and call it a day. I mean, like it gives you almost not everything you need, but it is a superfood. So yeah, you don't want to over harvest. So keep your eyes peeled on that. China. Sir, I'm curious as to why you were talking about the fishing vessels off of the coast of Argentina. It seems a little racist that you're referring to them as Chinese vessels. Why did you say that? It's because they're coming from China. They're from China. That's why they're Chinese vessels. Donald Trump says, we have notified the mayor of Washington, D.C. that she must clean up all of the unsightly homeless encampments in the city, especially including the ones outside of the State Department and near the White House. Isn't this exactly what I was saying? I'm going to say great start, but what about ending home rule and just having Congress take over to run the city properly? But yeah, you got to clean up your communities. It's nuts. It's nuts. You have to take pride in where you live. You simply must. If the mayor of DC, Muriel Bowser, is incapable of doing so, we will be forced to do it for her. Washington, D.C. must become clean and safe. We want to be proud of our great capital again. Thank you, Mayor Bowser, for your efforts on behalf of the citizens of our country. Hopefully, you will be successful. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. And we said, that's a great start, but what about ending home rule and just having Congress take over to run the city properly? You need this type of clean it up energy everywhere in America. Clean it up. And so this is big news today. Toria Brooke is reporting, and a lot of other places, that real Donald Trump is expected to issue an executive order as soon as Thursday aimed at abolishing the education department. So here's some stuff going on. Dramatic footage capturing floodwaters rushing into the mega mall Bekasi in West Java. Thousands of homes and businesses are currently affected in Bekasi. We're seeing a lot of these floods and stuff, man. It's almost like wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, you need to be really careful, really ready to just spring into action at a moment's notice. Here's more. Well, there's always been flooding, but I don't know. I wondered if there isn't a way that you could find flood-prone areas and build some grates that could grab the water and send it into like an internal sewer system to like vacate the water when it gets crazy like that. Maybe that's a massive infrastructure project, and maybe that's not really feasible. I do understand that. But it just kind of makes you think, can we engineer a better way forward?
No? We didn't need new laws.
Be as careful as you can. JB Hughes saying that we did not need new laws regarding our southern border being secured.
Laws to secure the border. We needed a new president, and thank God we have that. I've heard already from a number of the folks that I've talked to in Border Patrol that all we needed to do was empower these guys to do their job. Thank God they have done their job. We're thrilled that they've done it. And now we've seen, I think just in this area, border crossings go from about 1,500 a day to 30 a day. That's simply the President of the United States empowering these professionals to do what they do. We didn't need new laws to secure the border. We needed a new president. And thank God we have that. I've heard already.
That's fantastic. It's just, that's such a great line. They lied to us for decades. Oh, and we don't have $5 billion. $5 billion? Can you believe that? That's a rounding error to what we're sending to Ukraine. $350 billion? 1/70th of what went? Stop it. Build our own damn infrastructure and stop the drugs pouring in, the human smuggling, the human slavery, the abuse. We just commented, thank God America. Whoops. I spelled that wrong. I'm going to delete this and repost it. I wish Instagram would let you edit. Okay. We said, thank God America finally has a president that prioritizes America. Let's clean up the deep state Democrat and rhino mess already.
Chases a girl.
All right, I'm going to stop this here because I'm not sure if some of these pictures are things you can't see. But we're hearing Hunter Biden is out of cash and cannot continue his legal battle against former White House 45 staffer Garrett Ziegler. And this is a video showing all of the criminal activity from his laptop.
Hey, Elon.
Yep.
Elon, can we get your cell phone number if you're giving it out? We have questions.
Something 8008.
What are you planning to talk to House Republicans about?
What's your cell phone number? It's something ends in 8008. That's boob.
What?
Representative Eli Crane saying, now that's a challenge coin. I got a challenge coin. Let me show you this. God, I'm trying to remember this. My shower door. I think I was maybe in Milwaukee. Got a challenge coin. I need to make a TNAM challenge coin. Kenneth, would a TNAM challenge coin be awesome? Do you use our coasters? Kenneth has some New American Media, the Unhappy Hour coasters. Do you use them? Are you often coasting through life? I would like one of those presidential challenge coins. Look at that thing. That's huge, though. That's way bigger. See, it's tiny hands. Yeah, tiny hands.
Now that we
Belarus, President Lukashenko has called to begin mining cryptocurrency. If it's profitable for us, let's do it. We must respond to people's requests. It's the future. Besides, more and more people are approaching me about mining. And if it's profitable for us, let's do it. We have excess electricity. Let them make this cryptocurrency and so on. I mean, right? Especially seeing the path the world and major economies are taking. Yesterday announced they'll keep the reserves in it, increasing its demand. I think they're talking about the United States Crypto Reserve Fund. Maybe we should mine ourselves. Why attract investors and sell electricity to them? Though I'm not ruling it out, but we should do it ourselves. Proposals exist. I mean, yeah. If you think you'll overcome the bureaucracy and report that we'll proceed regarding national security. We must respond to people's requests. It's the future. All right, what is this one? Last night, Kanye West shared a clip from President Donald Trump's speech to the 2025 joint session of Congress, and West post has amassed more than 381,000 likes and 14,000 shares with nearly 5,000 comments. Oh, Kanye is an interesting one. In case you missed it, CIA Director John Ratcliffe confirmed that the U.S. has halted intelligence sharing with Ukraine after President Donald Trump met with Zelensky in the Oval Office. Yeah, I mean, they are done. Like, this war is done. He doesn't know it yet. And I feel like the longer he waits to negotiate exactly what is being asked of him, the worse the terms will get. Like, read the room, bro. You're done. Read the room. I think as Elon Musk said as well, like, as bad as it feels to say it, maybe Zelensky needs to be offered a place to go in a neutral country where he's not going to be brought to justice, because I think the people might... I don't think the Ukrainians are all too happy with him at all, according to various reporting on his popularity. If an election was held, he'd get blown out in an absolute Kamala-esque embarrassing landslide. Also here, Germany does not plan to reestablish natural gas supplies from Russia or restore the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline, per the German government spokesperson Stefan Hebstreet. That's just weird. You need energy. Why wouldn't you get energy? Germany is ratcheting up these energy costs, and it's really harming the people there. President Trump met with 8 released hostages from Gaza. They expressed gratitude for his unwavering efforts to bring them and others home.
So this was hell, huh?
It was the worst thing that anybody can go through. One of the days they handcuffed one of the boys that was with us, and when he came, and he brought a cutter, and he cut his hand and smiled. They used to eat in front of us while they starved us.
It's a miracle.
That you're living.
Yes.
I was kidnapped on 7 October. My wife and my 2 daughters been murdered on the same day. I was held in captivity 491 days. I've been suffered there from starvation, violence, and humiliations daily. One time they broken my ribs, and it was so hurt that I couldn't breathe for 1 month. Thanks to President Trump, I'm a free man. I can hug my mother again. I can hug my brothers and sisters.
I was moved 33 times.
Were you all taken on October 6th?
Yes. Spent time in tunnels with no air to breathe, barely food, hardly any water. Saw horrific torturing of hostages that I spent time with. And I am so grateful and thankful to be here because of President Trump and the administration's great efforts.
As you know, they're all being released right now. We have so many hostages just waiting to be released.
My little brother, it's still in there.
My family,
Oh man, he said his little brother is still in there. Ah, shit. Oh, that is not good at all. That made my blood quickly boil. If you got a sibling, you understand. Ugh. You got out, but he didn't. He's still in there. Ugh.
We believe you've been sent by God to release them.
We think they could get out thanks to you. Yes.
We are here because of you.
We're alive and free people because of you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
That's unbelievable. What a story. I've never had anything like this. I mean, I've saved a lot of people, but I've never seen anything like this where you lived under those conditions.
Spent time in
Horrible stories. Not even believable.
Thank you.
We'll get them out. Horrible.
Yeah. It's time to bring these people back already. What a shame. All right. Libs of TikTok. Yeah, okay. Deb saying it was a great speech on Tuesday. It was epic, Trump. Yes, it was. Absolutely was. My question to you would be, you were asking about streaming on X. I am on X, and I put the link there. Does that take you? Can you click the link? I see that you're coming through on YouTube, which is awesome. But can you click on the YouTube or the X feed? Yeah, it's showing that that it's going out to X, and a lot of people are watching there. Let me change the aspect ratio here. So here's a weird story. Libs of TikTok reporting. CNN just quietly edited their fact check article after they reported that Trump's statement on spending $8 million for making mice transgender was false. It sounds so crazy that they thought Trump made it up. It's 100% true, and now even CNN is forced to admit it. So what did they say before? Doge and transgender mice. Trump falsely claimed that the Department of Government Efficiency identified government spending of $8 million for making mice transgender. And so then they had to add all of these other lines of text here and said, an earlier version of this item incorrectly characterized as false Trump's claim about federal money being spent for making mice transgender. It is stunning. All of it. Why are we spending money on this? Why is CNN running cover for it? And look, the fact that they're actually talking about it, honestly, I'll take that as a win. I'll take my wins as I find them. Okay, good. Deb was able to switch back over, but you didn't see it. You clicked on X, you didn't see a notification. Yeah. Well, look, I do it all the time. Like I'll be something, I don't know, whatever. You know, I'll be on YouTube doing something, and then I'll get a notification like, "Oh, Scott Adams has gone live." I'm like, "Oh, I'd watch that." Or, "Oh, Steven Crowder's live." I'm like, "Oh, all right." Or Bannon is live, or Posobiec. I'm like, "All right, I'll see what they're saying. What are they up to?" And I'll click on it, and it'll go to YouTube. Crowder's really good at it because sometimes I forget, and then I end up wasting my energy in YouTube. And they'll say, "I don't know why you're still watching us on YouTube. If you can, switch over to Rumble, because some stuff I'm about to say is going to get us canceled. So go ahead and join us on Rumble. We got to use the dump button." And they go, "Oh yeah, I don't like YouTube." Now our numbers are up on YouTube for the first time in, actually, what are our numbers? Let me see. We've got millions of views. How many videos do we have? Content. Where does it show you how many videos? Not entirely sure what it says, but yeah, our views are up. Our watch time in hours is up. We're trying to get monetized back on YouTube. I know it's a pointless endeavor. I'm not really holding my breath and worrying about it, but it would be nice to get monetized over there again, because we were making some money. That was when I kind of doubled down. I'm like, all right, I see a path forward to the New American Media being monetized and making a living doing this. And they pulled the rug out from underneath in the YouTube adpocalypse. They want money going to people like me and companies like the New American Media. They wanted CBS, ABC, ESPN, Disney, Fox. They only wanted their preferred people to get advertising dollars. So they yanked the funding away. You know, it was a whole thing. They shadow banned tons of our content, started flagging us for stuff 9 years ago, 14 years ago. It's like, what do you do? Flagging our sports shows. No, they're just messing with us. They were obviously just messing with us. By the way, shout out to Brittany. Let's see if Brittany joins our show today. Her name on her YouTube channel is T. We usually come in to the show and copy something ridiculous and then move along. That's what she do. So we'll see if she comes in. All right, here's Byron Donalds talking about regulations and how it's hampered America.
Kate, wait a minute. Let me be clear on all these points. Tariff policy is one piece of the economic agenda. The president announced last night that for every one new regulation, he's going to cut 10 regulations. So those same business owners who might be concerned about tariff policy are welcoming a reduction in the regulatory states. Joe Biden added $2 trillion worth of regulations in just 4 years. Donald Trump wants to slash those regulations. And if you talk to business owners like I do, like the president does, and so many of my colleagues, if you're going to talk about what matters more, tariffs or cutting the regulatory bureaucracy in Washington, they will tell you, cut the regulations because they're killing us. They are stifling us. They don't allow our businesses to grow. So this is why I say, whether you're a business in Florida or any business in the country, it's about everything that the president is doing economically, not just tariffs. Specifically to tariffs, we cannot live in this Pollyanna view of the world anymore, where every other country gets to take advantage of us, our farmers, and our business owners. We have to get on a level playing field. That's what the president is trying to accomplish for all of the American people and American business. Kate, wait a minute. Let me be clear on all these points. Tariff policy is one piece of the economic agenda. The president announced last night that for every one new
Yeah, it's time to stop getting abused by other nations. Reciprocal tariffs will balance our trade deficits. This is the way. This is the art of the deal. This is a negotiation. And this is American strength for once. That's what I have to say about that. Donald Trump posted, The Democrats should lose the midterms based on their behavior at last night's joint address to Congress. All Republicans must use their behavior on men and women's sports, their very dangerous open border policy, high energy and taxes, and much else. Also, Republicans should utilize the footage provided on the total disrespect they showed to all of those that were honored last night, including young ladies who were killed by illegal migrants, people with terminal cancer, etc. They didn't even have the common courtesy to stand, smile, or applaud. This could be, on analyzing the full tape of this historic event, your full campaign to victory. In other words, Republicans can take what happened last night and win any race in the country. Good luck. Yeah. Let's retire every single deep state Democrat traitor already. Bam. Okay, cool. They have the roadmap now. They know exactly how easy it would be. You really could just take that, and those are your campaign ads. Just start running them now. Nobody's going to run against that. The Democrats have completely painted themselves into a corner. They've scrambled their eggs, and they can't remove the Obama doctrine from the reality of the situation. They are hopelessly lost. I don't know how it happened. I don't know why it happened. I mean, yes, it was the Obama doctrine. He thought they were invincible. He thought they were unbeatable. And I don't think that's the case. So let's go. Win all 50 states. Deb saying she didn't know if I could see your comments on YouTube. Yes, I could. See, if you see this right there, it shows your logo, or it shows your bio picture, and then it has the little YouTube logo. And then if I click on this one, it shows your logo, and then the X logo right there is showing that that's through X. Okay, you just selected the live notification button, so it was your bad. You got us now. Okay, cool. So there's a button on X to say you would like to see our live notifications. I didn't know that was a thing. The economic fabric of our country will tariff if we are not careful. Elon has thoughts on Bill Gates.
Gates is, and I are not best friends, to say the least. Why? So, I don't know. He is maybe the real distinction is not right or left, but is someone an expansionist or an extinctionist? So, he has some issues. This is true. And I mean, obviously, I'm super expansionist oriented because I think that's a far more exciting future than going extinct. Sounds obvious when you say it like that, but I still run into a lot of people who think Earth is overpopulated. So I'm like kind of hammering this point. We're not overpopulated, we're underpopulated. Yeah, make babies great again. Yes.
Overpopulation is a myth pushed by those who want to limit freedom and growth.
Bill Gates is
Yeah, we typed that the climate cult are literally dangerous to humanity. Serial killer type mentality amongst them. Yeah, Bill Gates, you should be very concerned about this guy. All right, let's hear this one.
No matter what side you're on, the man makes sense.
I've seen Democrats on TV for the past week scream Elon Musk, Musk. It's been quite invigorating, actually. I'm really enjoyed it. And what's funny about it to me is that you're mad at the guy that found the fraud, but not mad at the people that wasted your money. Here in Congress, we clearly can't cut a budget, so I really thank Elon for doing our job for us.
You mad at the people, but not the problem? Didn't Mark Twain say, it's easier to fool people than to convince them that they're being fooled? To be middle class in America seems like it's a nightmare. You're taxed the highest, your cost of living is the highest, you're the least respected. At least if you're poor, they have a whole load of programs for you. And if you don't like what this man is doing, you're not as clean as you've been leading on. No matter what side you're on, the man makes sense.
I've seen Democrats.
Yep. Their obsession with Elon is really weird. And you ask them, why do you dislike him? They don't have any good answers. Marjorie Taylor Greene kind of on the same thread as what Elon was saying about Bill Gates. The climate crisis has always been one big money laundering scam. The real climate crisis is climate engineering. Yeah. Also, the climate crisis is about the stuff being sprayed in the sky and added to our water without transparency as to why. It's always been money laundering. It's to shame people, embarrass them, threaten them, scare them, and then steal from them. That is the Democrat deep state playbook.
It's like you.
Yeah, so here's Charlie Kirk on Gavin Newsom about women and having their spaces invaded by men in sports.
Right now should come out and be like, you know what? The young man who's about to win the state championship in the long jump in female sports, that shouldn't happen. You as the governor should step out and say no.
No, and I appreciate
but like, would you do something like that? Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. So that's easy to call out, the unfairness of that. There's also a humility and a grace, that these poor people are more likely to commit suicide, have anxiety and depression. And the way that people talk down to vulnerable communities is an issue that I have a hard time with as well. So both things I can hold in my hand. How can we address this issue with the kind of decency that I think, is inherent in you, but not always expressed?
It's like you right now should come out and be like, you know what?
Okay. What's the word I'm looking for? Instead of enabling a false reality. We said the higher risk of harming themselves and depression is because of the medical disorder of gender dysphoria. We need to treat that instead of enabling a false reality. So, Newsom talking out of both sides of his mouth there. Not surprised, but, maybe there's a little bit of headway being made. This one here from Representative Byron Donalds again. I guess he's running for Florida governor. He might be your new governor, Ken. Deb from SAC, that's Sacramento, right? So you're California. We went from your governor Newsom to maybe Kenneth's new governor, Byron Donalds here. Talking about sanctuary cities.
Recognizes Mr. Donalds from Florida.
Thank you, Chairman. This is my third term on the Oversight Committee. We've been talking about illegal immigration and oversight the entire time. I remember we had a group of this committee that went down to the El Paso section of the border. This was back in February, March of 2021. And during that time period, we were at one of the holding centers, and there were these buses that were coming to the detention facility, and they were picking up 30 kids, 50 kids at random, walking out of the facility. And when I went over to question the bus driver that was transporting these kids, border agents told me, as a member of Congress, that you're not allowed to question the bus driver. And of course, people knowing me, I didn't take no for an answer, and I repeated the question. And I was told that this bus of children was leaving El Paso and going to San Diego. And so what was occurring under the Biden administration is that they were busing unaccompanied minors all across the United States for one reason and one reason only. And that was because they did not want the press to see the pictures of kids in cages. They did not want to see our borders being overrun. They wanted to disperse that problem all through the United States. That is the reckless history of illegal immigration under Joe Biden and the Democrat Party. Mayor Johnston of Denver, you lamented earlier that there were 10 to 11 buses coming per day to your city. Did you ever talk to Joe Biden about why this was happening to your community?
Thank you, Congressman. I both reached out to Governor Abbott from Texas. He didn't respond, and I did.
Why would you reach out to Governor Abbott of Texas when it is Joe Biden, the former commander-in-chief, that opened up our borders? Why didn't you talk to him?
Well, our buses directly were being sent from Governor Abbott in Texas, so that was why we reached out to say we're happy to collaborate on a coordinated entry system. We understand no one state or no one city should bear the entire brunt of this, but let's collaborate. But I did.
So I'm glad you said that, because that brings me to my next point. Governor Abbott and Governor DeSantis, when they started moving illegal aliens out of their states who were bearing the brunt of what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were doing, and they've sent them to Denver, they sent them to Chicago, they sent them to New York, they sent them to Martha's Vineyard. The reason why they did that is because you four could hide behind the realities of illegal immigration on border towns all through our country and on cities and states who did not want to see illegal immigration, but did not have the political representation to go to the White House. And only when it showed up on your doorstep did you get upset. Mayor Johnston, coming back to you.
Chair recognizes Mr. Donalds from Florida.
All right. So, I mean, that's a good point. We said MAGA stands for common sense policies, and the illegal alien invasion of America must end. It's time to indict the people who have been involved with this treasonous policy. It's treasonous to flood a sovereign nation with non-citizens like that. Treasonous acts. And you know that they're trying to get them fake Social Security cards. You know they're trying to money launder. You know that they're trying to sway elections. You know that they're trying to get counted in the census as undocumented migrants. So we need extra seats in Congress. No, you don't. You know you don't. There needs to be an immigration policy that checks and weeds out the most dangerous, violent, unproductive people and don't let them in. You're not allowed in. You know, there's basic minimum requirements to getting into most colleges and universities. You need to have a pulse. You know, if you're letting people in the country, they can't have a history of abusing people. They can't have a rap sheet a mile wide. And if they're coming, they need to have a specific job they're looking to do, and it needs to be above the table, and taxes need to be taken out. They could be given a temporary worker number, and if you keep your nose clean for 10 years and you stay on the path and you stay gainfully employed and you don't put your hands out and start stealing from us, the country you decided to come into, okay, fine. I think there's a pathway forward if you're going to learn the language, renounce the previous country you came from. You're now an American citizen. You take the civics lessons and you learn our Bill of Rights. You're going to defend our right to free speech in every manner possible, no exceptions. The Second Amendment, we all have a right to defend ourselves against enemies, foreign and domestic. You know, all of the things that make Americans Americans. You don't just turn over the basket and dump the whole laundry basket of clothing into the fire pit. You know, you don't put 30,000 Haitians into Columbus, into Springfield. They're eating the dogs. You don't do that. There's no assimilation. These are enclaves. That's what's ruined Europe. These people in Germany that have invaded, in England, in Switzerland, in Ireland, Scotland, they don't speak the language. They don't care. They're not there to grant your country a rich tapestry of this. No. That's called an invasion. You don't want to put 30,000 non-Buckeye fans in that suburb of Columbus. You want shared history. You want camaraderie. You want cohesion. You want people that give a shit about you, that you've known for a while. You don't do that. But that's the Obama doctrine. Thank God we've been able to reverse course on a lot of it. Got a lot more work to go. But this is the way forward. This is Chucky Schumer. Senator John Barrasso, Senator GOP John Barrasso. Let's take a listen.
Americans heard last night was easily the nastiest, most divisive, most partisan, and most dishonest presidential address in American history.
Yeah, Chucky, 6 ways from Sunday Schumer. He is awful. He needs to be removed immediately, and I would love to see his crimes get exposed.
Well, a man's entitled to his opinion. This morning, however, CBS News reported on what the viewers at home thought about what they saw. 76% of the viewers approved of what they heard last night.
Yep.
Speech viewers described the president as presidential, inspiring, and unifying. That's what the American people saw. So apparently the minority leader did not see the same speech or did not reflect the same way as the great majority of the American viewers at home. Because last night, I believe, people saw President Trump's bold agenda and rapid action in motion.
And to my fellow citizens, America is back.
State Republican Whip, Wyoming, John Barrasso.
What America
Yeah, I had a conversation with somebody, friend of a friend, and the conversation was about the speech. I'm like, yeah, America's an 80-20 country. We're 75-25. Three out of four are MAGA. He's like, oh, what are you? I said, yeah, that was what the people who watched the speech, that's what the polls said. They loved it. He's like, yeah, where did you get that? Breitbart. That's what almost every rhino, every Trump hater with Trump derangement syndrome. Oh yeah, where's that from? Breitbart. Oh God, they love hating on Breitbart. And it's like, can you focus on the message, not the messenger? It's so weird. I said, hey pal, that was a CBS poll. Showed 81%. I believe it was 81%, 76%, 78%, 81%. Everyone loved it. It was great. It's MAGA is the party of common sense. Scott Jennings on CNN has said, Trump derangement syndrome has caused Democrats to paint themselves into a corner where they're taking the 20 on the 80-20 issue. Keep men out of women's sports. Yeah. 8 out of 10 people say that's obvious. That's obvious. That's not even like obviously. Democrats go, oh, Trump's in favor of it? Then I must be against it. Yeah, well, you're in the 20. You're in the super minority, you weirdos. We would have never segregated the sexes if there wasn't a need to do it. You're not going to put them back together. You're not so bright, Bart. America got back. So yeah, I don't know how long it's going to take these people to realize they're in the super minority. 80-20, 75-25, 3 out of 4. You know, Scott Adams always says that whatever poll they do, 25% of the people will get every question wrong. It's not the same people, but every poll, you'll have 1 out of 4 people going, I would like to do the dumb thing all the live long day. I don't know. Whatever. It was a good speech. It was a great speech. Some say the best. It went over very well. And look at this, making some headway. Even Gavin Newsom's starting to realize the tide has turned. He also realizes his political career is over. He's grasping at straws here.
Last night, trying to put my son to bed. He's like, no, Dad, what time? What time's Charlie going to be here? What time? And I'm like, dude, you're in school tomorrow. He's 13. He's like, no. This morning, wakes up at 6 something. He's like, I'm coming. I'm like, he literally would not leave the house.
Did you let him take off school?
No, he did. Of course not. He's not here for a good reason. But the point is,
you canceled school for like 2 years. Once one day.
Oh, that was quick. Oh, that was great, Charlie. That was hilarious. You could go on YouTube and find my interview with Charlie Kirk. It was a walk and talk. It was a really quick thing before Politicon going on stage. But yeah, oh, that was funny. Well done, Charlie.
The point is the point, which is you are making a damn dent.
Thank you. I'm kidding.
When you go to these college campuses,
that's so good.
I love watching your TikTok, which is next level. And clearly, that's expressed by my 13-year-old son.
I want to meet this guy.
Yeah, I actually.
He's coming to a Turning Point event this summer, Tampa, Florida, Student Action Summit.
I actually am by the way, if
you should be concerned.
But actually, last night, trying to put my
the tide has turned, man. The Obama doctrine. Okay, the Obama doctrine of division is over. Thank the heavens. That's pretty great. I think that's fantastic. You shut down the schools for 2 years. What's one more day? Oh, that was so funny. Bravo to Charlie on that retort. All right, we're going to go through our X feed now and see what else is happening on our profile. Check out our documentary, Hurricane Helene Help on the Way. Blake Wally and myself went, and this dude here, Grizzly, helped us navigate through Southern Virginia, Tennessee, and Western North Carolina to tour the damage. Please check that out. Share it, like it, share it, all those things. All right, so sanctuary cities. They're talking to, this is Representative Gosar talking to the mayors of sanctuary cities. Here you go. This makes a lot of sense when you lay things out, you hear how absurd the Democrats' positions have become.
Mayor Wu, I'll be showing up at your house tomorrow with my bags at 5 o'clock. Leave your doors unlocked, please. what are you making for dinner? Because I expect a warm meal and a balanced diet. Now, I'm going to need a car, and please leave me some cash because I'm going to need to go to my doctor's appointment on Friday. That would be to Mr. Mayor Johnson. Now, I don't want to sleep on the couch, so put me up at a luxury hotel. You're the Mayor Johnson. Obviously, you wouldn't like this because you don't know me, right? You know nothing about me. You might not like that. Sanctuary cities offer this kind of hope, this false hope to illegal aliens by saying that very thing. Stay with me. We don't tell anybody that you break our laws. Now, thank you. You've made the United States complicit and one of the largest purveyors of human trafficking in the world. Thank you.
Human trafficking capital of the world. That's who the Democrats are. Hey, here's this purple-haired creature, Rosa DeLauro. Here's her take.
I was really stunned that the election.
What was the one we shared? Dark Crystal. She looks like a character out of Dark Crystal. Remember that? Not a cartoon, but like that animated nightmare.
Was fought over the cost of living, and families who live paycheck to paycheck, concerned about whether or not they were going to be able to pay their bills, be able to pay for their health care, in some cases even putting food on the table. And the address tonight didn't address any of those issues about cost of living and the fact that people live paycheck to paycheck. And what we ought to be doing in the Congress is to make sure that we are helping people to secure an economic future for themselves and their families. I found the speech to be vengeful, revengeful. And
oh, you mean after the one that you tried to kill? You tried to imprison so you could Epstein him, the one you falsely impeached over nonsense, the one you've nonstop been able to avoid teaming up with him on the common sense policies out of pure hatred. Just everything you've done for the past 8 years has been to destroy this guy. Vengeful, revengeful. Y'all did this. You lost your damn minds.
And instead of being lifting,
it was very lifting. 81%, 75%, they loved it.
The hopes and the aspirations of people of the United States, of how we move forward as the great nation that we are, what the vision for our future.
Yeah, the vision is crystal clear, fixing what all of you dirty deep state Democrats have done to divide and destroy the nation.
It devolved into just vindictiveness and self-adulation on behalf of Donald Trump.
You're watching a different
movie. Did not address the issue of unchecked billionaires like
George Soros, who's been running your Democrat Party into the ground for decades. Shut up. You have no room to say anything about billionaires when you've let George Soros appoint all of these radical district attorneys across America to turn our blue cities into hellscapes.
His friend, ally, and Elon Musk. It was not a speech befitting a great world leader or a great president of the United States.
Yeah, like the ones Biden did. Give me a break. All right, Laura Loomer, let's talk about it. She says, did you know that Bill Barr's father, Donald Barr, was the head? Hang on, let me check the aspect ratio. That's screwed up. Did you know that Bill Barr's father, Donald Barr, was the headmaster of the New York Dalton School in 1974? As headmaster, he hired then 21-year-old Jeffrey Epstein to teach math and science at the elite private school. You'll recall Bill Barr was Attorney General under President Trump in 2019 when Epstein died under suspicious circumstances, where he was found hanging in a cell and the cameras pointed at the cell were just coincidentally not working at the same time of his death. However, Bill Barr didn't recuse himself from the so-called investigation he claimed he would carry out when Epstein was found dead from suicide, yeah, right, in his jail cell while Barr was AG. The new Trump-appointed AG, Pam Bondi, penned the 2018 op-ed in the Orlando Sentinel titled, Bill Barr Will Help President Trump Fulfill the America First Agenda as Attorney General. However, former Attorney General William Barr's tenure drew criticism from Trump supporters for his refusal to investigate alleged irregularities in the 2020 election. Remember that? When it was obvious to everyone that there were massive problems in the 7 fraud states, swing states? Bill Barr ran interference, tried to just quickly cram that thing through, almost as if he was working for the other team, almost like he was in on the plot. Barr has also publicly stated on multiple occasions that he believes Trump lost the 2020 election, a stance that is at odds with many in the MAGA base and anyone with common sense. Both Barr and Bondi, 2 Trump-appointed AGs, have now been embroiled in controversy relating to Jeffrey Epstein. There was never anything that came out of Bill Barr's investigation into the death of Epstein, by the way, as you can imagine, just like nothing ever came of Bondi's promise to release the Epstein files. It's such a bad look. They want you to forget about this and stop talking about it. Don't let them. And Laura says, this is all information that should have kept dominating news cycles over the years as it came out, but they want you to forget about it and never connect the dots. Yeah. The persistence here. Scott Pressler, you can go back on our, actually, I can change the aspect ratio again. No, I can't. Check out our interview with Scott Pressler on Rumble and X. I'm sorry, Rumble. Well, yeah, it's on X. Rumble and YouTube. Just scroll back to, what was it, July or June or July? I guess it was July, yeah. When we were at the Republican convention in Milwaukee and interviewed him. So Democrat New Jersey Reddit is worried. It says, be careful that GOP voting registration, that GOP voting registration guy that helped flip Pennsylvania has been eyeing New Jersey and even moved here. Elon says, how many states who have been blue for so long are sick and tired of failed Democrat policies? Unsafe and dirty cities with oppressive state governments and yet super high taxes. You're getting ripped off. You are. We said it's time to overcome the big blue fraud machine that delivers votes in the top 20 blue cities to keep voting for people who destroy their communities. Enough is enough. America's a 75-25 MAGA nation who just wants clean, safe communities. Take all of America back. Jonathan Turley says the House will soon vote on the censure of Representative Al Green for disrupting the Trump address to the joint session of Congress. Every member should vote for the censure. This will be a defining moment for Democrats, a choice between rage and reason, lunacy and civility. For years, I've criticized both Democrats and Republicans over such disruptions. This is particularly egregious after Speaker repeatedly warned Green and he continued to heckle and disrupt. It is a familiar scene that many of us who are accustomed to deplatformings in higher education. However, this is the Congress where members have long maintained a level of civility and decorum. That was shattered by the disgraceful conduct of former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, ripping up the speech, etc., etc. Holding up sophomoric signs is hardly consistent with that history. However, screaming at a president to disrupt an address should be a bipartisan matter. Yet Democrats have continued to support Green and his outrageous conduct. He later said he has no regrets and would do it again. Well, he has been censured. Where's the, let's get the update here. I think I did share that, but I didn't see it as I'm scrolling. So an hour ago, since we've been broadcasting, just announced, good Thursday morning, the U.S. House has voted to censure Representative Al Green, and 10 Democrats have now voted in favor. Holy shit, we're breaking through. You see this where you can't get a single Democrat to protect women in sports. The most obvious thing to vote for. Now that 10 of them have broken ranks, they have to realize this Democrat Party is gone. It's weekend at Bernie's. As they propped up Biden for 4 years, pretending he was competent, this Democrat Party is, they're gone. They've passed life support. There's no signs of life. They are being propped up by inertia. America is done with the Democrats. It's time to finish them off politically, shatter them into 1,000 pieces, and scatter them to the wind. 10 of them have crossed over. Yes, Deb, 10. Boot Green out of there for good. I mean, see, if Bill Barr was still holding that position, I think that would be a good skit, Kenneth. The Bill Barr fly. If he was the Barr fly, the Bill Barr fly. Wouldn't be as timely. It wouldn't make as much sense to do it now, but I think it could be funny. All right. 10 Democrats joined the Republicans. Good, good, good. Yeah, Speaker Mike Johnson said Al Green's shameful and egregious behavior during President Trump's joint address disgraced the institution of Congress and the constituents he serves. Despite my repeated warnings, he refused to cease his antics, and I was forced to remove him from the chamber. He deliberately violated House rules, and an expeditious vote of censure is an appropriate remedy. Any Democrat who is concerned about regaining the trust and respect of American people should join House Republicans in this effort. Bravo, Speaker Johnson. That was the right move. Did you see this girl? Come fly the friendly skies. This Alaskan Airlines flight attendant has cried on this video because she got fired for twerking on a plane and posting it on social media. She doesn't even seem to understand why she was fired. MK Truth Ultra says women are so nasty today and have no class. Let's watch.
She's the flight attendant whose twerking cost her dream job.
I didn't think that, being so happy can turn into something like this.
Nell Diallo was having a great time dancing and twerking in the aisle on an empty plane before an early morning flight.
I decided to just take advantage of the moment to wake myself up and kind of get myself hyped up for my day, basically.
She posted the video on TikTok along with the caption, "What's wrong with a little twerk before work?" But after the video went viral, she says Alaska Airlines fired her.
What did they say to you? They just said that I broke their social media policy.
Nell had only been on the job for 6 months. She says she was twerking to celebrate the end of her probationary period.
Why did you decide to post the video? And I was really proud of myself that I came so far. I just didn't think that my video and my post and the way I was dancing would be deemed as inappropriate.
So how did you feel in that meeting when they told you you lost your job?
I put on such a proud face every time I stepped on that plane. And for them to terminate me without giving me a chance, it just was unfair.
So what do you think about that one? I could actually, I can see both sides here. I can. Oh yeah, Deb, these are rats jumping the ship. These Democrats have to know that their party is pure toxicity. Have you ever had to work at 6 a.m? Like sometimes you gotta wake your ass up. Like that's just the human body. Like if you're not used to it, get the blood flowing, get a little movement going. I don't know. I mean, she. Let's look at the dance. Let's look at the dance. She does a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Let's rewind it again. Here, let's go.
She's the flight attendant who.
I don't need to listen to it again. I don't know. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it was another one, and it was it wasn't like hiking the skirt up to a thong. That would have been instant. Like, okay, you don't see anything there. It's not like she's exposed herself. I mean, really, hyping to get up ready for the shift. I can understand that. When I moved to Taos, New Mexico, when I moved in to those Earth ships, the Greater World Earthship community, I mean, we were up early and we were out on the job sites early. I mean, you're swinging a hammer, you're using power tools, you're up on scaffolding, you're working. It's just like, oh, the coffee can't wake me up enough. It'd be like 5 degrees outside, like it was super cold. And yeah, I mean, just to get fired up for work. Now, I get why Delta and every airline, really most companies probably have a social media policy. Because if you're clearly a Delta pilot, they don't want to associate your behavior with their brand. They're just there to deliver people from one spot to the next. I didn't see anything. And look, how many pornos have been filmed on planes? You've seen those. I've seen those. I can think of what. I can close my eyes. I can even tell you who the actresses were. I can see the scene right now. I've maybe viewed it more than once. So nobody in their right mind wants their brand to be associated with pornography, really ratchet behavior. Is ratchet a word that we're allowed to use? Ooh. I didn't see her expose herself. I didn't see her throwing up the middle fingers like y'all can go pound sand, and didn't make a strong political stance that's going to bring Delta into a political position that's going to make it uncomfortable. Why are you in our uniform? You don't represent us. You don't speak for us in that way. Now, if you could see if her cheeks popped out, if it was pure nothing, if there was nudity, now we're getting into really exhibitionism. Yeah, I think that would be fireable. Case, in this case, let me see it again. Did she puts her foot up on top of the? Okay, yeah, okay. So she's got her foot on the armrest. Now that's not good. People are going to have to put their arm on that. Why is she putting her dirty feet on top of where people are sitting? But I mean, the dance was kind of a big nothing burger to me. Look, what I would do if I were Delta, I would hire this person back. And I would use it as a teachable moment. I would say, look, Delta does have a strict policy about not filming social media posts on the airline. That's our space. None of these workers represent us. We don't represent them. Let's not blur the lines together. It's not the place for our staff to be doing that. That's why we have a policy in place. Calling it a twerk before work. I mean, she wasn't on the ground and doing an extended rhythmic humping scene. There's a couple of hip thrusts and then spun around, did a couple of other moves. Fully clothed, no expo. If she popped the buttons out and launched, obviously that's fireable. But I would take this as an opportunity to show some grace if I were Delta. Maybe here, let me. I keep saying Delta. Did they say Delta? Where am I getting that from? Twerking cost her a dream job. Okay, where do they say? I guess it's Alaska Airlines. Oh, Diala. Maybe empty plane before early morning flight. Maybe Diala, I turned in my head to Delta. Alaskan Airlines flight. TikTok. In the caption, what's wrong with the little twerk before work? What's wrong with it is that it violates the policy. Okay, it is Alaska Airlines. I'm sorry if I kept saying Delta. Alaska Airlines. Okay, here. I'm going to say this. Let's undo the repost. Oh, shoot. Did it leak? Doggone it. Alaska Airlines twerk. Okay, I'm gonna actually defend her here. I can't believe I'm doing this. The foot on the armrest was nasty. The dance wasn't X-rated in any way. She did violate the policy. But this would be a great opportunity for Alaskan Airlines to restate why their policy is in place, write this lady up, suspend her for a bit, and maybe give a second chance. Ooh. I gotta trim a couple words because this is an agree or disagree. Agree or disagree. foot on the armrest was nasty. The dance wasn't X-rated. Here we go. I think this will work. Oh. There we go. Agree or disagree? The foot on the armrest was nasty, but the dance wasn't X-rated. She violated policy, but this would be a good opportunity for Alaskan Airlines to restate why their policy is in place, write this lady up, suspend her for a bit, and maybe give her a second chance. Do you agree or disagree with that? I think that's a good question. Anyway, I've spent a lot of time on that lady. She's a 6 at best. You know, supposed to really only spend time on 8s. Did I say that out loud? I'm sorry. All right, let's cruise on through here. Gunther Eagleman. What did Sherry say? Sherry said, except eggs, because Democrats killed the chickens. Milk is down, is $2.75, down from $3.03. That's another hoax. Remember, they're not killing the ducks, the seagulls, the eagles, or the quail. Strangely, bird flu only affects chickens, cows, and humans. Joe Biden killed the chickens. Elon says it's true. There was an insane slaughter of 150 million egg-laying chickens ordered by the Biden administration. This is the article that I wanted to talk about. I will talk about with, I think we're back on track for 3 o'clock, our interview with Adam Kokesh. As I said earlier, he and I were on the steps of City Hall in Los Angeles, giving speeches, calling on some money to be spent in smart ways to help the homeless. Once again, I called on the VA to build a tiny home community that they'd have to drive past every day with tiny homes, a little subdivision, make a joint shower facility and a joint cooking facility for some healthy food, get these people some treatment, get them off the streets. And every day you drive up on that long winding road to the building, if there's anybody in those tiny homes, you know, maybe put a flag up if they're occupied, or maybe only have them out if they're occupied. That reminds you every day that you're not doing your job if there's someone there that needs that housing. You need to find a way to get these people back on their feet, productive members of society, the humane way to talk about things. So anyway, this is the story that I'm going to reference in my chat later, 3 o'clock Eastern with Adam Kokesh. Join me. Federal judge frustrated over missing data on LA homeless spending. It's just all these dirty, gross encampments, criminal activity, dangerous, violent activity, mentally ill people, drug addicted people. You got to clean up all the homeless stuff. You don't just have a right to turn your city into a third world hellhole. And that's what President Trump said to Muriel Bowser about Washington, D.C. as well. So it's a story that does have relevance. I'm looking forward to our chat later. James O'Keefe. So here's State Farm. Do you have a State Farm policy? Let's play the beginning of this.
Where the Palisades are.
Where the Palisades are, there should never be houses built there in the first place. Why not?
Where like people want to be built in areas where there are like natural areas around them.
Yeah.
For their ego. Who wants to live in a concrete jungle? Of course we want some nature around us. Now, if you need to put some water barriers, put some sprinkler systems out in some of these areas so that if something occurs, you can stop it, that makes sense. But it's not about ego. Nobody wants to live in a concrete jungle. You do it because you have to, but humans don't have to. I agree that maybe there should be better systems that can keep your buildings wet in a fire. You should be forced to carry 15,000 gallons in a back buried cistern like they'd have in Taos, New Mexico for the Earth ships. Like 5,000 gallon water cisterns. You catch your rainwater and then you reuse it. Maybe at a time of an emergency like a wildfire, you have to deploy it to keep your house wet, keep your property wet, keep the flames from getting in and lighting your house ablaze. Maybe we need better sprinkler systems. Maybe we need to fill tubes that are, animal resistant. They're not going to get clawed to break open. They're not going to get whatever, but under a certain temperature of a fire, they will melt and release the water in them to serve as a natural fire break. There's things that can be done instead of telling people, oh, you have no right to be in the Palisades. Now, if you guys haven't been to the Palisades, it's a great area. Oh, you recently can't. Wait, you use State Farm. Did you recently cancel or did they recently cancel? And yes, Deb, targeting chickens equals food shortages and inflation. It's a typical Biden tactic. I used to work in property management in Los Angeles, and I had properties in the Pacific Palisades. None of the properties that I managed were burned down, but we did lose I believe it was 137 unit homeowner association was burned to the ground. It's a gorgeous area, just like Calabasas. Oh, you canceled them. Did you cancel them because of this video? Let's get back to the video. Let me change the aspect ratio and let's just watch a second of this. Saying it's because their ego. No, it's because that's how humans want to live. That's a real way of life, living with your environment. And if there's some things you can do to improve and increase the safety measures in these areas, let's do that. It's not because of egos. What the hell's wrong with this guy?
But they're also...
the Palisades is a desert? Palisades is wooded.
Hayden Kirkpatrick is the Vice President of Innovation and Venture Capital at State Farm. Hayden states they're moving away from hiring white people, wanting to hire more Hispanic and Latinos, getting towards the 2040 workforce.
I personally, I tasked my HR team with finding me, because I'm the innovation. I go, you need to find me the talent profile of the workforce of the future. I want the 2040 workforce. So go map for me the demographic profile of America in 2040, more Hispanic and Latino.
Oh, to your own kind, you say?
Away from our own kind. This cuck is discriminating illegally against white people. I'm done being silent about this. My entire life, I've been discriminated against because of who I am. They tell you the exact opposite. Oh my gosh, you're a white male. Nobody discriminates against you. Everybody has my entire life. This has been going on for decades. Focusing on what someone looks like. Are they dark enough? Are they not dark enough? That doesn't matter anywhere. What matters is competence. And the Obama doctrine of division has finally been ruled illegal. Finally, affirmative action is gone. DEI is gone. It's what I told my when I was fostering my neighbor kid. He ended up in a situation where he was going to end up being moved out of his school with 6 months left to go. And he was going to enter middle school the next year anyway. It was like, what was it, 5th grade to 6th grade? I think that's what it was. 10-year-old kid. And I'm like, you can't, come on. Your family, your housing situation has changed. And now they're going to take you out of your school and you're going to go with a bunch of strangers for 6 months. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. I'm like, buddy, if you need somewhere to go, like, let me buy a futon. We'll put it in the office. You can stay in the other room. Like, let's find a way to make this work. All right. And I told him, you know, I'm not a black kid. I don't know what it's like. But what I do know is what he may have been subjected to as a young black man was a lot of this Obama doctrine era of division and hatred. And I just said, look, buddy, nobody determines your success or your failure in life out there. Oh, the world's bad. Oh, the world's racist. I have no chance. No. Don't listen to any of that crap. You are the person who is singly responsible for your successes and your failures. That's it. What do you want to do with yourself? And are you going to work hard to make it happen? You can conquer anything. The world isn't pitted against you. In many ways, the world's pitted against me. It's pitted against you. It's pitted against everybody everywhere. That's the thing. The world isn't really in anybody's favor. The world is, and you need to find a way to navigate it. So work hard and you're going to succeed. Be a bum and make excuses, and you're gonna have a rough time, man. So anybody giving you reasons to whine and complain and make excuses, they're setting you up for failure. Don't believe that. Don't listen to that. You know. But yeah, this guy discriminating against white people, it's terrible. No, Pacific Palisades, California is not a desert. It has a Mediterranean climate with warm, dry summers and cool, wet winters. I don't even know what this guy's talking about. It's not a desert. It's not a desert. Bye-bye, DEI. Oh, they were overcharging you before the video. Gotcha. It's pitted against golf balls. Hey, great message, Brian. Thank you. It's the best I could come up with, you know, kind of making it up as I go, doing the best I can. All right, now look, I'm not saying I'm a conspiracy theorist. Change the aspect ratio. I'm not saying I'm a conspiracy theorist, but stop sending me this shit. I'm pretty sure that's not a real reply, but I mean, those two do look related. That's such a weird sentence to say. What's the latest? What do we know about this guy? Where's the report? And the other guy at the golf course, the people trying to off Trump. Diana Alistair is saying, I'm sure you remember Avery Jackson, the trans girl who at 9 years old was on the cover of National Geographic. Avery was given the gold standard in gender-affirming care. I call it genital mutilation, unnecessary genital mutilation. He was chemically castrated and sterilized with blockers to hold off male puberty at 9 years old. You can't, younger than the kid that I took in. You can't make decisions when you're 9 years old. Permanent life-altering. Okay. I'm going to try to not yell during this story. Now at age 17, Avery has come out as non-binary, but that's not the worst part. He also identifies as asexual, meaning that he doesn't experience sexual attraction. This is undoubtedly the result of medication used to delay male puberty. The president of WPATH, Dr. Marcy Bowers, has said on camera that so-called puberty blockers, which are used to chemically castrate sex offenders, chemically castrate the young boys who take them as well, leaving them incapable of arousal or orgasm. I am pro-orgasm, by the way. This is me speaking. I am pro-orgasm, and I think people who are going to deprive somebody of that, I mean, that's a cheat code, like on a video game system. Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, select, start. Once you do that, you go, oh, all right. That was a nice reset. What do they call it? Post-nut clarity. Oh, okay. I have a little bit of, I got some clarity now. I can, so it's like turn on the windshield wipers and it wipes away you can see clearly. You go, all right. Woo. We are designed to procreate, man. Like that's just an internal thing that we have. Why would we mess with that? Back to this story here. It says, for adult sex offenders, the process is reversible. But for boys like Avery, the effects are permanent. He'll never feel sexual attraction or any of the experiences that accompany it. He is completely sterile. He can never father a child, and his own childhood was spent in the national spotlight. The blockers he was given have also stunted his growth and mental development in irreversible ways. All these things were stolen from him, and he has said that transitioning ruined my life. The word transitioning, you don't transition from male to female. You cannot become something that you are not. You cannot. What did Trump say? You're perfect the way that God made you. Stop feeling ashamed of who you are, and don't let groomers try to convince you there's something wrong with you any more than a husband is going to convince his wife that there's something wrong with her until she gets a boob job. It's gross. Don't be like that. You're perfect how you were made. Love who you love, dress who you dress, but compete against your sex in sports and stay in the locker room and restrooms of the sex that you were born with. It's really that easy. I would not mind taking a piss in a urinal next to a dude in a dress if that means that dude in the dress is not creeping on girls in the women's restroom. It's not rocket science, people. Back to the article. It's high time that we stop pretending that children can make an informed decision to transition or take blockers, even if their doctors are honest about the risks and consequences, which most are not. Blockers are not reversible. The intellectual deficits they cause will never repair themselves, and neither will the damage done to the child victim's emotional intelligence and maturity. This will, of course, make it easier to push them into transitioning, i.e., to sell them hormones and provide surgical alterations. Parents like Avery's who try to monetize their child's struggles with gender identity belong in prison, not on television. and so do the doctors who are complicit in his chemical castration and sterilization. My heart breaks. Moving on, here's Kristi Noem. I think I can switch the aspect ratio for this. Doggone it, no, I can't. Up and down? Too small. Deb identifies as a patriot. Yeah, Kenneth, I'm pro-O. I am pro-O. I'm not going to make a Kristi Noem joke. So Benny Johnson here. She is calling on MSNBC to get rid of one of their anchors. Let's take a listen.
MSNBC, Rachel Maddow called it disgusting. And Nicole Wallace on MSNBC said that DJ should consider potentially killing himself. Those are her words, not mine. That's what she said. She said that she made it in light of a joke about trying to make a joke about.
She goes, and I hope that he doesn't take his life like those officers did after the January 6th mostly peaceful protest. By the way, there's a lot of suspicion of whether those people actually took their own lives or if they were silenced because they knew too much. Let's be honest about that. Ready? Nimbus? He's looking. Okay. So he wasn't suggesting that Benny, like, let's frame it kind of. She said, well, and I hope that he doesn't take his life like the other people that Trump encouraged to go there, that, like, you know, because of Trump's actions, these people are no longer with us. I get what she was saying. She didn't say, I hope he offs himself. She didn't say that.
Should consider potentially killing himself. Those are her words, not mine. That's what she said. She said that she made it in light of a joke about trying to make a joke about January 6th or something. It's repulsive. It's the most viral clip on the internet right now.
But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump's supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide.
Do you think that she should lose her job for
sort of did not frame that accurately. Let's be fair here.
Absolutely.
I get what she was trying to say. Once again, don't make me take the side of the weird people, but demand that lady come on and make an apology and, like, clarify. Like, you know, there's a lot of hardworking men and women in law enforcement, and following the January 6th debacle, several of them ended themselves. That's what I was saying. You know, when you grow up, you know, thinking law enforcement is a path for you, you never envision that something so bad is going to happen, and then you're so ashamed you just want to leave, and you leave. But once again, there's a lot of thoughts that these people did not really off themselves, that they were silenced because they saw too much, they knew too much, and they couldn't be allowed to talk about it. So they made it look that way. I don't know. But I don't know. Benny's sort of mischaracterizing it.
There is a standard for those who report our news and who cover what happens in this country. And yes, those who employ her and pay her paycheck should evaluate if they want that to be the face of their operation.
Oh, not a lot of that was going on MSNBC. Rachel Maddow called it.
Democrat and Republican voters have been left confused after this video. Senator Cory Booker grabbing and groping this young liberal influencer. Voters have commented that this video is strange and that Booker can't keep his hands off the kid. Sick. This strange interaction appears to be confusing for voters of both parties.
What's so funny is
he said, I'm not tired. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
I am charged up. What's so funny?
I mean, they're trying to bro out.
I'm not tired. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
I am charged up.
That's just kind of all sorts of weird. I agree. Harrison H. Smith says, so let me get this straight. Back to Epstein again. Jeffrey Epstein never got a college degree, but he was hired as a teacher by William Barr's father, then abruptly became a Wall Street banker, making billions off a single client, Les Wexner, owner of the Victoria's Secret and co-founder of the Mega Group, a network of Jewish philanthropists, along with Bronfmans, another Jewish billionaire family associated with bizarre sex slavery, mind-controlled celebrities, who also gifted him the most expensive house in New York. His girlfriend is the beloved daughter of a notorious Israeli super spy triple agent publishing magnate, whose company controls textbook publishing and was murdered on a yacht named after Ghislaine, who is an accomplished submarine pilot and one of the most prolific Reddit super users. Together, they groomed and abducted underage children and rubbed elbows with high society elites, politicians, and prominent scientists who they would take to a private island featuring satanic temples of human sacrifice where they would be engaged in forced sex acts with underage kidnap victims while being recorded by an enormous array of cameras. They did this so often his private jet became known as the Lolita Express, and Epstein became close friends with the likes of Bill Gates and Bill Clinton, who is mentioned in his papers more than anyone else, and who once introduced Epstein to one of his future victims as the King of America. Wow. Meanwhile, on his ranch in New Mexico, Epstein conducted experiments in transhumanism and DNA research, telling scientists he wanted to seed the human race with his DNA. All of this was hidden from the public until 2005, when Epstein was charged, but was given a sweetheart deal by future Secretary of Labor Steve Acosta because he was told that Epstein belonged to intelligence. So he was sentenced to spend nights in prison, to be chauffeured to his office daily, and serving only a fraction of the sentence. Losing absolutely no social credibility, he continued to consort with billionaires and celebrities, including the Prime Minister of Israel, Stephen Hawking, and Prince Andrew, building an ever-increasing library of pedophilic and pornographic blackmail of the world elite and using his vast and unexplained fortune to buy his way into areas where vulnerable girls and their families could be seduced by the promise of power and wealth. Then, he was arrested again in 2019, and while in jail under suicide watch, he was still able to somehow break his own neck with a paper bed sheet. A paper bed sheet. While all the cameras mysteriously malfunctioned and the prison guards were both asleep, and only after making a phone call to his mother, who had been dead for 15 years. Photos of his cadaver leaked, and while the ears look a bit different than normal, there also was a guy that looked just like Epstein caught on his island by a rogue drone operator after the death, which was ruled a suicide. There was a guy that looked just like Epstein caught on his island by a rogue drone operator after the death, which was ruled a suicide. The FBI was photographed seizing truckloads of documents, videos, hard drives, and DVDs from both Epstein's main residences. Since then, the evidence has basically disappeared, with only a small amount of heavily redacted case files released, despite repeated demands by various authorities in the federal government for the FBI to hand them over. Oh yeah, and Ghislaine Maxwell was on the lam during a nationwide manhunt, posting pictures of herself reading books about CIA assassinations. She was caught and is in jail. That's just off the top of my head. How'd I do? What did I leave out? I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? Canadian cafes are swapping Americano coffees to Canadiano. Okay, I can't show it. Music off. All right, the Americanos are gone. Now it's a Canadiano. I always used to call it Canadia. It was a nice little slight to our neighbors over there. The Canadiano. The reason it's the Gulf of America, says Tim Pool, is that this is the North American continent. The country we live in is the United States. So we just say American for short. Gulf of America refers to the continent, which makes sense. Gulf of Mexico literally makes no sense. Here's a reminder, Matt Vanswell, just a reminder that 1 month ago, President Trump literally handed the people of Western North Carolina his own microphone to tell their stories. He hugged them, he listened to them, and he asked questions. Democrats pretend to care about the American people, and Trump lives it. We put this out here. Elizabeth McDonald with Fox says, this is disturbing. Biden and Obama Democrats created a new beast, the pop-up nonprofit shell. They suddenly launched to take in taxpayer money, supposedly for things like climate change and illegal immigration. It's a major front for taxpayer abuse, with the accusations of grift growing by the hour. Never saw it like this in decades covering IRS taxes. Check out the tax returns for one of these pop-up NGO shells, the Climate United Fund, which got the biggest nonprofit grant in history out of Biden's massive climate slush funds. Kamala Harris and Biden's EPA chief, Michael Reagan, gave $7 billion total, more than that was requested to build the wall, I believe. I think they wanted $5 billion on the southern United States. Giving $7 billion total to the suddenly created Climate United Fund in April 24 after it launched just 5 months earlier in November 22. That math doesn't math. Maybe they meant 23. When its tax returns show it started with a tiny $547,000 in revenues. It spent a massive $451,000 of the $547 in just 2 months in 23. Quarter of that on legal fees, majority, $323K, mysteriously blown on no one knows what. Because tax returns don't say. It has no stipulated plans for how it will spend your $7 billion in tax money, just ephemeral solar projects in Idaho, Arkansas, and Oregon. No details, red flags. The CEO, Beth Bafford, was a special assistant in Obama's OMB and a regional field director for the Obama campaign. Yeah, it's all money laundering. Another criminal enterprise uncovered without any criminal arrest. This is the new normal. Yep, the arrests are coming any day now. Don't you know? The arrests are coming any day now. What else here? Here's a reminder of what President Trump had to say about the Department of Education.
And one other thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and sending all education and education work and needs back to the states. We want them to run the education of our children because they'll do a much better job of it. You can't do worse. We spend more money per pupil by 3 times than any other nation, and yet we're absolutely at the bottom. We're one of the worst. So you can't do worse. We're going to end education coming out of Washington, D.C. We're going to close it up, all those buildings all over the place, and you have people that in many cases hate our children. We're going to send it all back to the states. Thank you very much.
Yeah, there are a lot of people
one other thing I'll be doing
that hate your kids, who are abusing your kids, teaching them hatred, shame, divisive racial Marxist, Leninist ideology, antithetical to how you're teaching these kids at home. They're coming out warped, angry, bitter, changed, ruined. It's time to stop that. New research from the University of Texas, according to Charlie Kirk, shows that all the justifications for mutilating children were lies. They analyzed more than, oh my God, there were 100,000 patients with gender dysphoria and looked at the outcomes for those who received surgery versus those who didn't. Depression, anxiety, and suicidal feelings and drug abuse were all significantly higher for those who received surgery compared to those who didn't. Significantly higher. Let's repeat that. Treating gender dysphoria with sex change surgery was linked with drastically worse mental health outcomes. Phony doctors belong in prison for what they did to our children. Elon saying sex change surgery severely harms mental health. Talking about Alito, Thomas, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh with a truth nuke in their dissenting opinion. Does a single district court judge who likely lacks jurisdiction have the unchecked power to compel the government of the United States to pay out and probably lose forever $2 billion taxpayer dollars? The answer to that question should be an emphatic no, but a majority of this court apparently thinks otherwise. I'm stunned, says Eric Daughtry. Sean Davis says if the Supreme Court is going to ascribe to unelected inferior judges the full powers of the presidency, then it's probably time for the president to ignore the Supreme Court. It's an absurd judicial power grab. And the Constitution itself all but requires the president to defend and uphold the Constitution by rejecting lawless power grabs. I'm still trying to unpack it because some interpretations say that the ruling was only for paying bills that have for tabs that have already been spent. It doesn't mention anything for future spending. And then on the other hand, it's being referred to as one of the worst decisions we've ever seen. $2 billion for NGOs to overturn what President Trump said. This is huge here. Let's listen to Representative Ro Khanna, Democrat, California. Virginia Fox just forced every last mayor at the hearing to admit just how much they've spent on illegal aliens over the last 4 years.
Gentlemen's time's expired. Chair recognizes Dr. Fox from North Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor Johnson, in the last 4 years, how much has Chicago spent on care for illegal aliens?
Thank you for that question, Congresswoman. So since 2022, since the governor of Texas began
Just
shipping...
tell me a number. I don't need a speech. Just tell me a number.
So since 2022, since the governor of Texas was shipping individuals to cities across this country, the city's budget, roughly 1% of the city's budget over the course of 4 years.
Mayor Johnston, the same question, and I don't need a speech, just a number.
Thank you, Dr. Congresswoman. Thank you, Congresswoman. It's $79 million over the last 2.5 years.
Mayor Adams, same question. How much has New York spent to care for illegal aliens?
Approximately $6.9 billion went out of our taxpayers' funds.
Mayor Wu, same question. How much has Boston spent to care for illegal aliens in the last 4 years?
We do not ask about immigration status and giving city services and providing that access, so we do not have a number.
Taxpayers have been bearing the brunt of the massive wave of illegal aliens who've entered the United States. The Biden administration seemingly declared taxpayers and hardworking Americans collateral damage in the pursuit of open borders. Again, Mayor Johnson, are NGOs providing services to illegal aliens in Chicago?
In accordance with the Welcoming City Ordinance, our sister agencies or city departments, we do not seek the status of any individual that is seeking service.
Imagine willfully ignoring such a relevant data point.
Are NGOs providing services to illegal aliens in Denver?
Thank you, ma'am. When folks arrive on the streets without food or resources or shelter, we do provide food or shelter regardless of where folks arrive from.
Mayor Adams, same question.
Yes, in combination of city agencies and nonprofits, we responded to the migrant asylum seekers humanitarian crisis that hit our city.
And Mayor Wu, I assume you don't know their status, but do you know if there are NGOs are providing services to people arriving in your city without any kind of documentation?
There are community organizations, many of them in Boston, who seek to serve all of our Boston residents.
Congress must provide oversight and ensure.
Yeah. Chicago, 574 million, Denver, 79 million, New York, 6.9 billion with a B. Boston not asking whether someone has citizenship status. That is insane. Imagine what all of that money could have done for the Americans that live in those cities. When I went to the Bronx, that's what I was hearing. They were enraged. They were outraged. Wait, hold on. Where we go? Yeah, I guess that's the best I can do. They were outraged that their money was being spent in such a way. Absolutely outraged. Those people in the Bronx needed help, not illegal alien invaders. You've got to replace all these people. Here's another undercover. Once again, EPA advisor admitting that an insurance policy against Trump is funneling billions to climate organizations. We're throwing gold bars off the Titanic. It's an insurance policy against Trump winning. Yep, correct. Biden's own EPA advisor explained the mad rush to give out billions to these organizations is throwing gold bars off the Titanic. This is a bunch of pirates, literal pirates. Literal pirates, people. Trump's EPA administrator, Lee Zeldin, already going after the $7 billion that was given to the Climate United Fund. That's good. Hopefully it's time for some financial forensics. As noted previously, the story is only likely to grow. It certainly deserves to. These pop-up NGO shell companies created to launder money from federal government programs directly, becoming the program equivalent of a DAF, which can be used to launder grant money between a federal program that's really a government slush fund and the sea of NGOs swirling around it. It'll be very interesting to see how widespread the use of these pop-up NGO shell companies actually was, says Jeff Carlson from the Markets Work, and which federal programs they were able to tap into. The Great Climate Audit has done a thread on this, which I'll attach to the post. Immigration contracts brokering $2 billion worth. Here's Andrew Lorenzen Strait describing his corrupt bargain scheme. There's a much easier way to earn $2 billion than caring for 80,000 kids. Cherokee Nation is not this benevolent humanitarian actor. They make most of their money with alcohol and gambling. It's been effed up, but it's been a boom for my business. So gross. These are flashing red lights here. These NGOs. If cutting government funding shuts down an NGO, it is not and never was a non-governmental organization. Remember that. Because you're hearing bad opinions all day long. Just always say, well, if shutting down USAID is going to stop it, that's a GEO. That's a government organization, not a non-government organization, obviously. There's accusations, once again, about these two judges who always side with the wrong people, Amy Coney Barrett and John Roberts. I don't understand how they can say that a lower judge has the ability to stop the president from directing where this money is going. It's always the eyes. Look at these eyes. She's got the crazy eyes. And she's been terrible in the White House, Amy Coney Barrett. Kim Markow says Congress has the power to remove a Supreme Court justice. Since Republicans control Congress right now, they could remove her and set the standard. The last thing we need now during Trump's second term is a rhino justice. GOP, get rid of her. Amy Coney Barrett hasn't been... Hold on, is it Comey or Coney? M-E-Y or N-E-Y? Coney, like Coney dog. Coney Island. Amy Coney Barrett hasn't been the same since Senator Schumer threatened the lives of the Supreme Court. Look at this. Look at this knowing look. Like, we got him. She's like, you know it. This is the look of potential co-conspirator. Something feels very off with her. So I'm still trying to understand that story. Yeah, Doge maybe needs the financial records of the Supreme Court. Review them to see if someone's paying them off. And by somebody, I mean the Democrats or USAID or some foreign country. Take a look at this here. She looks disgusted by President Trump. Looking right at him, it seems. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But the president's literally right in front of you. Almost snarling. Do you see the change in Amy Coney Barrett's face? Then she looks at the other guy walking past. But right there, look, maybe she's looking past him. Maybe she's looking past him at somebody here. But she appears to be almost snarling in Trump's direction. Disgusted. Juanita Broderick posits, whomever Amy Coney Barrett is supporting now, it's certainly not America. Is she corrupt or compromised? If so, she needs to be impeached. I think an investigation should be held, says We the People. Thomas Massey just introduced the End the Fed Act, the Federal Reserve Board Abolition Act. Mike Lee says, type Fort Knox in the comments if you'd like to end the Fed. I've got a bill to do that in the Senate alongside Representative Thomas Massey in the House. It's time. Honest question based, Mike Lee. What are the go-to arguments that you hear on Capitol Hill about why a private banking cartel needs to be involved in our money supply? Struggling to comprehend what theoretical value they provide. I like this meme here. A vampire is going to the sunlight. Superman going to the kryptonite. And a leftist going to facts. You know? And this is You know, sometimes fantastic. Maybe Amy Coney Barrett was constipated. It was a look of disdain. It was a look of like disgust. But I will say, look, I'm trying to be fair. What did I side with on the other side? Three stories today. One of them was the Alaskan Airlines flight attendant saying, all right, use this as a teachable moment that we're not going to make videos for social media while on our planes in our uniforms. We felt the dance was inappropriate and you putting your boot onto that armrest, that's for a passenger. That's gross. Don't do that. This is your last and only warning. We'll bring you back. You've had a suspension for a little bit. You've been written up. Do something like this again and you're gone. But let this be a reminder to everybody else in Alaska Airlines. We're not making videos for social media on our stuff. I took her side. I forget what the second story was. Do you guys remember what the other one was that I took a side that I didn't anticipate? But then in this one, I don't know. What the heck was it? Anyway, back to this. Sometimes these phrases bubble up to the surface during administration and they become landmark things that we remember. That speech when President Trump says, all we needed was a new president. Because they told him, oh, you need legislation. We need to pass a comprehensive border bill. The president's not passing this comprehensive immigration policy. No, you're trying to legalize 30 million illegal alien invaders. We're not doing it. Oh, we can't stop all this. Nothing's going to change unless you give us what we want. Nope, that's not how it works. All you needed to drop this by 98% of illegal border crossings was a president that cares. All you needed was a new president. So this line, all we needed was a new president. This will live on. This is a great one.